Yes, people can be interested in new ideas when those ideas are expressed clearly and effectively.
Welcome to the Research and Destroy podcast. Here's what we do. Step 1, we take a subject. Step 2, research the shit out of that subject. And Step 3, destroy the subject as we discuss what we found. With your hosts, John, Adam, and Justin.
Hello, my name is John.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Justin. In today's episode, we're talking about scandals. And everybody knows what a scandal is. It's, and there's, especially with the current political climate, everybody knows what a scandal is.
All right.
Ooh, a little too hot button issue for you there. But
so those
it's
floppy shoes you wear on your feet on the beach.
Oh, yeah, the scandals. Hold on. Mom, where's my scandals? I don't have time for laces. I need my scandals.
Hot sand. Where's my scandals?
Hot scanned. Anyway, so a scandal is...
I had to get that one out of the way. Actually,
no, it was good. So. Thank God. I'm glad we did. So scandals when usually somebody of note or in power does something morally objectionable or breaks a law, and there's an outrage around it. You know, there's usually a lot of media coverage. So I'm going to do full transparency here. We recorded this once, and big old Dumbo me didn't record my own voice the first time. So this is like take 30 because we've had a lot of technical issues on this recording.
That's a scandal in itself, right
there,
man.
It's a scandal. It's Recordgate. It's bad.
Recordgate.
Yeah. So when we first started researching, what I was looking for in scandals was I was looking for a scandal that I didn't know about, or I didn't know all about, or I didn't think everyone would know about. Really is what I meant. Not that I didn't know about it, but that I didn't think everyone would know about. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like the OJ Simpson murder or Monica Lewinsky, Bill Clinton thing. Not that I wouldn't want to hear about them, but I feel like everybody knows so much about them. I wouldn't be able to take a new perspective on it, really, or present it in a way that was unique. But I was looking for like a scandal with a lot of layers. And then Adam, we were talking, and you had mentioned that when you first started your research, they were all kind of like one and done type scandals. The scandal is this thing, and then it's done. What were you looking for when you started this?
I wanted something with layers as well to try to change it up a little bit from my like usual kind of more tangential stuff. But once again, I found myself in tangential territory, which is just I don't know. I just find myself there.
I think it's awesome. I think the way the three we talked about it in the previous recording where it didn't fucking record. But that we each have our kind of
12 minutes ago.
Yeah. This may sound familiar to us because we just all said these same things. But basically the idea I kind of noticed, and probably you all noticed too, that we all kind of have, even if we're going to even if it's a different subject, we all kind of approach it the same way each time. As like I always tend to I'm looking for a very elaborate version of whatever it is. I want something that's complex that we can like really break down and get into the details of. Adam tends to research one thing, find something that's like tangential, but it's super interesting.
And I just look for BuzzFeed articles.
Top 10 scandals. And then here we are. You won't believe what number 7 is.
Too many to look. What happens next will blow your mind. God damn.
Yeah. So with that, Adam, you want to take it away?
Sure.
Now that we've recorded our opinions, I think we should investigate to find out whether or not our opinions are based on good reasons.
Here's the worst segue ever. So these are Adam, go. Sorry.
Adam, what do you have for a scandal? Please tell us.
Oh God, I have.
How many books did you read?
I have.
That's a throwback to last week.
I don't know how to read, but what I did find was an audiobook about John Lennon. It's not a scandal because I'm not fucking famous. No one gives a shit if I know how to read or not. Turns out.
This whole episode will be peppered with interesting factoids about the deficiencies of Adam's faculties.
Thing that I spoke to someone recently, where like, it was like a podcast. Somebody was saying that relatively recently, where there was a woman who was just talking about like weird stuff, and she talked about the fact that her boyfriend like didn't know how to read, and like she didn't know for like a year.
How do you not know?
Somebody was telling me this story recently. Was at the podcast, and she was like, I did ever put it together, but like he always was the one like asking me like, what do you want for dinner with the menu, or like, what do you blah blah blah, like would you read this? Like he was like crafty about it, and like eventually she knew he didn't know how to read, and he just like, yeah, I don't know how to fucking read. I was like, what?
Oh my god,
how dumb. Like he's never on the phone. He's just scrolling Facebook picture. He's
only on Instagram.
Like, don't you catch some kind of clue?
Give the guy some
emoji.
Adam, how long did you say she was in the relationship before she found out?
I think it was like a year. It was like a long time.
God,
give that man some damn credit. Like he doesn't know read, and he maintained a relationship with a woman for a year. I read perfectly fine.
Yeah,
never been
single as hell
for a year. Yeah,
like I've seen some M. Night Shyamalan movies, but if you're in this shit for a year and that twist hits you at the fucking end. Like, can you imagine me in the movies or something? Just popcorn everywhere.
Like, he was illiterate the whole time. Oh, God.
Mike,
you turn off the subtitles, are distracting me.
Yeah. This is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
That just proves the lengths that a guy will go to like make sure he's gonna get laid consistently. It's kind of crazy. Like he could have learned how to read in a year's time. You know what I mean?
Why didn't he?
I don't know. There's audiobooks for that shit now, isn't there? Like I don't know. What are the resources available?
Probably.
Like?
But how do you? Okay, so what step do you go through to find an audiobook? Though you get on Amazon, you read Amazon, you type things.
But what kind of job does he have? Like, what kind of job can you get that doesn't require you to make a resume?
Yeah, there are a lot of questions here. Like, hold on.
Weird.
Okay.
That's fucking. This is a scandal. My God.
Like, if you can't read, like, there's so many other steps leading up to getting the woman that I just cannot fathom. Like, does he have a cell phone? Okay, she had to have given him a number. Can he read numbers? Did she just put it into his phone for him?
He must be able to read numbers.
Okay.
He's an accountant.
All binary. Yeah.
Oh my God. He makes $70,000 a year. He's an accountant. Oh my God, he can't read.
God,
can you imagine being like, can you believe that Jeremy makes more money than you doing the same work you do? You'd be like, no. Can you also believe he doesn't know how to read? I'd be like, what? Fire me now.
That's why he always orders the same things at restaurants as me. That's
he goes to like
crazy.
fancy places. Like, you guys got. She's actually like this. Asked for like the same thing every time. You guys got chicken fingers. You know what I mean?
He's that guy who always asks for chicken
like
fingers.
He can only go to places where there's pictures on the menus, right?
He has to.
I'll have one of these things.
Yeah,
but he's not a caveman. He can talk, so he like knows what things are. He just can't spell them or recognize the shapes of them.
Yeah, or you can go to McDonald's or whatever too. You can be like, I want a number 3. Easy.
So you have to learn what a number 3 is one time. You say, what's the number 3? And then they tell you, and then you're like, got it.
Yeah.
Like, number 3 looks pretty good. I'll take that.
I'll tell you what, I'm on his side now. He's fighting the system from the inside.
I'm kind of on his side.
There's no side to be taken. He just doesn't know how to read.
No, but now he doesn't have to read. He doesn't have to read at all. Everybody does everything for him, and it's the best.
This guy has been playing the fake it till you make it game for years, and he is
World
winning,
champion.
dude. Winning.
So
He's a champion.
This is a great tangent. So one of the things that I heard recently, I think I told you guys this too, is that
did you read
a lot
Adam?
of kids nowadays don't know how to read analog clocks, which I found out from a friend who teaches. He says none of them know how to read
those people that are
clocks.
listening that don't know what an analog clock is, it's a clock with the hands.
Yeah, a clock with the hands.
Wait,
yeah.
Why would a clock have hands, Justin? It doesn't have arms connected to them. What is that like?
Oh, you stupid.
So if you can't read time,
what is this sorcery?
The next thing you can't read is reading at all. I wonder if there's going to be a step where people like, is there a time when everything's going to be audio based or like vocal? Or I mean, I don't foresee it, but possible. What if there's just all related to it?
Because
numbers?
you don't. I mean, we're such visual. Like people in general are way more visual than they are audio.
Yeah, emojis again.
So it's we're going to hieroglyphics next. We're going back to hieroglyphics where it's just purple eggplant all the time.
You know,
millennials, yeah.
Goddamn.
I was gonna say like you know how in like movies about aliens, like aliens are always like way more advanced than us, right?
Oh.
But they don't.
Keep going.
What?
Sorry, that made me think of something.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. So yeah, so there's like theorists say that one day humans, like, there won't all be these like different languages around the world, but it won't necessarily be one like language like English or Chinese or something like that. People will all talk in just symbols, like not because it's
Like
going,
Prince?
yeah, like Prince, not because it's
Talk in
regressing the high.
symbols.
Well, hold on. No. Well, I mean, communicate in symbols. Excuse me. So they won't necessarily. It's not a regression back to like hieroglyphics, like you said, but it's more of like efficiency, because like.
But dude,
Now,
like letters are symbols.
Technically, yeah, but I can't go anywhere in the world and communicate a thought to somebody as clearly as I want if I don't know their language, and same goes for them.
But you can do that with certain things like hand gestures and things like that too, like with stop and like I gotta go pee and like that kind of stuff, and middle finger. Thank you, Justin.
Yeah.
So things like that obviously are like universal, which is when you go to different countries, you have to like make stuff up. You don't know the language, you do that. So I can definitely see how like a sign language, quote unquote, could become
sign
like
language. Yeah,
But
it could be like the universal language.
Yeah, maybe. Have you guys seen the movie Arrival? It's a UFO movie. Or
Yeah.
An alien movie. You should. Do you care if I spoil it for you?
spoil it.
All right. So spoiler alert. This is totally not our subject, by the way. But I don't care because it's
Does
interesting.
Snape die at the end, or is it Dumbledore?
But this is getting awesome.
Yeah. So in Arrival, is that the one with what's her name?
You can't say, "Have you seen the movie Arrival?"
I can't think of the actress's name. It's
Is it Amy Adams?
Amy Adams, thank you. Yeah.
Amy Adams,
so
yeah.
she's like some sort of like
Hawkeye.
she plays. You're an idiot. Oh yeah, right. It is Jeremy Renner. So this alien ship like parks itself over Earth, and it has like this one like almost like elevator that people can go up in, and it takes them up, and there's a room where on one side of a dividing screen there's a bunch of aliens that look like squids, and on this side it's the humans. And she's like this like language expert, because they're like start making symbols to her, and they all look like circles. They look like almost like a coffee cup stain, but turned up,
exactly.
vertically. And they all spread out, but it's a language, and it's pretty fascinating once you. I don't want to spoil the movie too much, but like it's them breaking down language, and it's spoiler alert. I'm going to tell you the end of this movie. So anybody listening, skip ahead.
They're all drinking
30
Pepsi
seconds.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, spoiler alert, they're addicted to caffeine. My computer just went to sleep. Awesome.
Spoiler: they're in the future Starbucks.
Yeah. All right, still recording. Everything's good. Keep skipping ahead if you're listening. So the idea is
Starbucks.
So it's just Starbucks. Oh my god. So listen, it's a circle, and it's the conversation is circular. Like there is no beginning and end, and essentially by understanding it, like it alters your brain to be able to perceive time differently. So you start existing outside of time once you can think that way. They
don't perceive time the way humans do in a linear sense.
Right. Because our sentences are a line. Every language's sentences are a line. And these people, it's a circle, and they are these creatures, and they eventually, like, she then can see all time at the same time, basically.
Okay, so she has like zoom out multiple dimensions that we can't see. That's technically
it was very interesting to think about language. So it's like
it's deep. Yeah.
It was what John just said about symbols, kind of what made me think of that.
Interesting.
So
yeah,
Adam,
up the dimensions.
I am very surprised to hear someone had a girlfriend for a year, can't read.
Yeah, I wish I knew this person, because I would love to ask this person questions.
I've known adults that can't read, but like it was painfully obvious.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever known one.
Yeah, I have. I mean, I've worked at jobs where like you're waiting tables, you don't really need to know how to read all that well.
I mean, you are still in Florida.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Adam, he doesn't understand the breadth and depth of the situation.
Okay? We didn't. That's not even in this episode. This recording version was in the previous one.
Oh, that's true. I made a throwback to deleted material. Awesome.
The breadth and depth. Windshield wipers on my monitor.
We daffied it back.
Yeah.
So this point, I don't even know what the fuck I was talking about.
So anyways, we're talking about
scandals.
I don't even know. Scandals. So Adam, can you start us off on talking about scandals 15 minutes into the podcast?
Yeah, sure. For the third time, I'll try.
Yeah, please.
I wish it was about people that actually couldn't read in that guy, but it's not. It's about our beloved idol, John Lennon, John Demarius Lennon.
That is not his name.
Rocky. I don't know.
Is it? I have no idea. I was like, is it?
No, it's not. Okay. Sorry, I just made that up. He was a kind of a weird guy, as maybe you guys already a little bit know. And the scandal that I found him under was from I forget the exact year that he did it, but I believe it was in the article around the late 70s, early 80s. He was assassinated in 1980, so it wasn't the early 80s. I apologize. But he did say that the Beatles were bigger than Jesus. That was kind of the quote taken out of context. And besides that, he was kind of trying to reference the fact that religion in the West was declining and music and pop culture, whatever, was inclining, and people were starting to worship musicians.
The youth was inclining with the youth.
The youth.
The religion was, and music was becoming a bigger part of their lives.
Yeah, because it was the baby boomer generation too. So there's just so many people that were growing up under, Woodstock and things like that, as opposed to Bible stock, which doesn't have the same ring, unfortunately.
No, doesn't. This is unrelated.
Can I screw up the question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Who's John Lennon?
You son of a bitch. Listen, so I just saw a headline today that the Vatican has released a Christian version of Pokemon Go.
Excuse me?
Great.
So
what do you collect?
It's like a map. I literally saw the headline. Wafers. I don't know.
You collect souls.
Oh my god, no! I bet you collect sins. No, I don't know what you do, but it's like interacts with the map, and you go.
Done.
You gotta catch them all. Well, this was the shortest game. We did not think this through.
I haven't even left my chair. I've got 45 right now in my hand.
I have the internet.
So
I turned it up to 100%.
That doesn't even make any sense. How could you? Who would play that game?
Catholics.
I guess I'm not gonna lie. I guess I would try it.
I don't know. We can look it up later. But if you're listening, check it out.
Catholics, you dummy.
Yeah, well, the Vatican released it.
You go to battle with local popes and stuff like that.
Pokemon. That's what it's called.
Pokemon. Please tell me there's not an app called Pokemon.
This is not real.
That I don't know if that's true. I just made that up. But
it can't not be it.
I know. Yeah, right. What is it?
If you want it to be truly Catholic, you have to search. You have to catch little boys.
Ooh, no.
A new Pokemon Go clone lets players collect Catholic saints instead of monsters.
God damn it!
What is it called?
Saints.
I don't know. It's kind of amazing. I wonder what it's actually called.
Like Italian grandmas? I don't know.
Oh, it's called Follow JC. That's the name of the app.
Excuse me?
Follow JC. Oh, Follow JC Go. Excuse me. And the symbol is Jesus walking on a cross, but the back of his feet. It's like a little box. It's an icon. So it's just the back of feet on a
certain
cross.
Certain organizations should stay out of.
Weird.
Yeah.
Prime example.
What an odd crossover episode for them to do.
Don't say crossover episode.
Did somebody say Mr. Peanut Butter, get the
Jesus
fuck
Christ
out
to that comment. All right, so getting back to the semi-on-topic portion of the episode, John Lennon was kind of an ass, as people probably already know. This is kind of more about John Lennon's life and some of the weird stuff that he did, as opposed to just the singular scandal, which is about that quote.
So what was the fallout of the scandal? Are you going to get to that, the fallout of the scandal?
So from what I read, and once again, it's kind of hard to get fact from fiction on this, because it's always kind of hard to figure out what really happened based on a scandal versus what would have happened anyways. So
what do you mean?
From what I've read too, this was kind of like the beginning of the end for Beatlemania when this was quoted.
This is the end.
I think people started at this point. They've been losing their shit over the Beatles for years, John. I don't know if you know who the Beatles were, but they were a big band.
I don't know who the Beatles are.
Yeah, they were.
They were big.
They were
bigger
big.
Than
Ooh, no.
Bigger than JC.
From a small island known as England, and they came over. Eventually, did some music over here. People lost their minds. Anyway, eventually, he said some stuff like that. I don't think
you need to explain the Beatles.
You'd be surprised. Some people can't read.
That's true. Yeah,
which is good because it's spelled wrong anyways.
Yeah,
it's true.
This is true.
Yeah. It is true. Yeah, they spelled it wrong.
So there was some weird. I'm referencing some quotes from the conversation within the Playboy magazine with John Lennon, and Yoko Ono was partially in there as well. And this was published about 2 days prior to his assassination in 1980. So this kind of had big headlines.
Is that?
So I guess this is somewhat scandalous in the fact that it's this is big news for the time when it happened.
That's not related though. So it was published 2 days before, or it was interviewed 2 days before and published.
It's not related to the original quote. This interview took place at least weeks before, and the actual issue.
Oh, the original quote was years before, right?
Years, yeah, it was before
5 years before or something, and then it.
At least.
Okay.
And then this is just some other stuff that's just weird for him.
Can I ask you a quick question? So the quote happened whenever it happened, and then like it got pulled out of context years later and became a scandal in the U.S.?
It was a scandal in the U.S. when it occurred, when he originally said it on microphone.
Okay.
And then some of those interviews made it overseas. I guess England didn't give much of a shit about it, but the U.S. like kind of lost it and was like, "Oh my god!"
They saw it as anti-Christian.
That seems like, I guess, yeah. I guess at the time, I guess that debate was still kind of ongoing, and it was a big thing for whatever reason.
True.
So I dug into that a bit deeper because I was like, I didn't know John Lennon was like a hoity-toity, the best, cocky, non-humble asshole. And then I dug into it and I was like, oh, he's not. And then I dug into it more. I was like, oh, he really is.
Oh, yeah.
Moving on, some of the stuff he quoted in this Playboy magazine, this conversation about him saying that he had depression. He went through a Fat Elvis phase when he wrote the song Help, and he was trying to get out and having people help him get up, and he wasn't able to really do anything, and he just like ate all the time and got really fat. And
oh, I was just saying, I think I might be currently going through a Fat Elvis phase.
How can you tell?
The fatness. And the eating all the time.
Listening to rock and roll classics.
Yeah. Can't
So
fit in my blue suede shoes anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't like a super crazy thing, but I was like, oh, okay, he was going through some stuff. He had some father issues. His father left him when he was really young. He grew up with just his mother. His mother didn't always treat him the best. So one of the other quotes he has here too is that part of me suspects I'm a loser, and the other part of me thinks that I'm God Almighty. So that is kind of this weird, I don't know what that really is, what that
like
means.
Two very extreme perceptions of himself.
Yeah. Like not the 90s version of loser, like from Beck or whatever, or Nirvana, where like I'm just like scum, or Radiohead, where like I don't know how to act. But like I could be weird, but I could also be the best. It's like some weird lines you're crossing with that. I don't know what that statement actually even means. It's very strange. He's
good musical references there.
He's probably high as fuck, but who knows? Later on the same article, he was talking about his son. So he had a first son with his first wife, and then ended up cheating on her with Yoko Ono for a while, and then was just like, "Hey, first wife, I'm not digging you anymore, really. I'm kind of going through this whole peace and revival thing, even though we have a son." And then
what's his first son's name?
Just left. Julian.
Oh, I thought that was his son with Yoko.
No, that's the second kid that is referenced here somewhere.
But Julian went on to sing too, right? He was.
Yeah, both of them actually.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
But Julian was the first kid that was kind of neglected, and like he would like abuse the kid. Like he verbally yelled at him. Like he told him that he didn't like the way that he laughed.
John Lennon was abusive.
John Lennon was verbally abusive to his kid, and was physically abusive to his first wife, and supposedly even Yoko Ono at sometimes.
That's the scandal I thought you were going to talk about.
Lennon,
actually.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about that too, him being abusive.
That also became a scandal kind of later on too, that he was physically abusive, and he came out and said that he was, and he used to have problems, and he was trying to change that later on. But I guess that was pretty big news at the time too, which obviously it should be. And he even basically says that he victimized women and kind of beat them around or whatever too. And one of the interesting things too is that he said that supposedly the song "Hey Jude" is Paul McCartney's response to acting more like a father than John Lennon to Julian.
Oh wow!
Ooh,
so
really?
Yeah, because even Julian said that growing up too, that John was like not the father figure. It was actually Paul who like stepped up into the fatherly role for years while they were together. I was like, what the fuck did I miss about the Beatles, man?
Yeah,
I thought it was this peace, love, and harmony like VW Bug Groove Trip. That I don't think that's entirely true.
You sound like an old man describing rock and roll.
I was just about to say, what are you, my grandpa? What is this?
I think that's some sort of groove trip. Are you guys on that marijuana? Mary Jane? Adam, come on, man.
Man, come on, we call that breakfast. Yeah. So he basically goes on to say that he was cruel to women. He used to beat them. Like, he actually said all this stuff, and he was sorry about it. Yeah, he admitted to it, and he said, "I'm not violent. I learned to be violent regarding my kind of original upbringing, and I regret it. I'm not happy about what I've done in my past." So he has some redeemable qualities, but like this is at the end of his life, the very end of his life. I remember once again, this came out 2 days before he was killed.
I think there was a pattern of him being abusive, apologizing, like saying "I'm different now," but then going back to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that would make sense. I'm only referencing certain articles in Time, so I don't have all the full details in that. But yeah, so it's kind of brutal. And he talks about like a lot about dads were always looking for fathers, and like he even says some more stuff about like Elvis and other people like becoming father figures to him because he didn't like have one. So it was like all this weird like misplaced.
Were they close? You've mentioned Elvis a few times. Or were they close?
No, I think he just looked up to him. Looked up to him a lot, and I think he just references him a lot because he was like, at the time, I think for the Beatles, Elvis was like one of their big idols, right, for the time of rock and roll.
Okay, yeah.
So I think they grew up with that kind of music. Be like, we need to make something cool. I'm sure it's much more than that, but
Hey, look at that guy. Let's do cool things.
that guy looks like fat and homeless. Looks like he just sits at home.
He looks like fat John Lennon.
Crazy hair. I'm gonna get a fat version of that guy when I grow up. So that's a lot from that particular interview, but he had a series of kind of controversies about that over his life. Yeah, they kind of just culminated in this final interview that took place that brought it out to the public in this big interview, and later on his sons kind of came up and stuff like that too, and basically just told how bad of a father he was and that kind of thing. Yeah, then he was killed 2 days later. So it was like this weird juxtaposition of all this stuff coming out. And then everyone was like, oh, but we loved him for all the music and for all the things that he did. And I'm sure that it was instantly eclipsed.
Yes, of course.
By his assassination. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like the timing was not good for that to come out. You know what I mean?
There was something... This is not exactly related, but there was something that now I'm blanking on what it was, but there was some big event that happened like September 9th or something like that. I don't remember what it was. And like nobody knows about it because September 11th happened.
Yeah.
Like not this year, but like 2001. What am I thinking of, John? There was like some big thing that the world would care about, and now I can't think of what it is.
There's two big things. Okay, well, there's two big things off the top of my head that I can think of. The Jewish guy who owns the World Trade Towers. I can't remember his name, but he took out a huge insurance policy.
No. It wasn't related to 9/11. I'm sorry. It was some other thing that like should have been national headlines, but like it happened and was out of the public eye quick because this other thing was just all anyone talked about.
That's kind of like how like politics work a lot of times too, right? Like you see like something crazy, and then the next day something crazier happens, and then like you totally forget about all the first original crazy stuff, right?
That's how it works right now, not how it historically has worked.
I don't want to bash too hard, but you know what I mean. Like
it is. Somebody turned this one to. It's turned to 11 right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Just to keep distracting with. So then,
because people's memory is instantly wiped when something newer and crazier happens, right?
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah.
Well, that's so. The thing about him being an abusive spouse and father, that was like it paints you have like such a different perception of who he was.
Yeah, and I actually forgot there's one more thing here that paints another picture here too. I'm sorry to just kill your darlings, whatever the hell that phrase is, where you just have to like hate the people that you've worshipped for so long. But this was where it was brutal. There are two other things that I didn't talk about. At one time when he was younger too, when he was with the Beatles though. They did like this. He did this like joking set and sketch on like live TV where he like made fun of a disabled person by mimicking their walk, which is already fucking garbage. Which is already made like, oh my god. And then this one he once physically attacked.
You're talking about John Lennon?
John Lennon.
Oh, okay.
He once physically attacked the Cavern Club's Mick Bob Wooler, who was a close friend of the Beatles at the time. When Bob jokingly outside of this club suggested that he had an intimate relationship with another guy. And John Lennon, who was kind of drunk at the time, left him hospitalized with broken ribs. Damn. And apparently he only stopped the beating because he realized he was actually going to kill him. And later on, John Lennon said, he called me a queer, so I battered in his bloody ribs.
God damn.
I think those were lyrics, lyrics they never used in a song, actually.
I'm pretty sure they brought that up, and Paul was just like, no, we can't.
That's one of their like B-sides, you know what I mean?
That'll be one Ringo sings.
Or fucking
That's one of those Beatles like deep cuts, you know what I mean?
Turn to Ringo and you got anything? And he's like, well, I got this one on a submarine.
Nope. Beatles deep cuts. It's not a good album title.
No.
Brass Knuckles by the Beatles. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Fucked up.
Yeah, you're right though. I bet that article is, when you're just looking back and his assassination is like a known quantity, you can just take it with all the other information, you know. But when you're living it and you see that article come out and it's being talked about for a day or two, and then all anyone talks about is how much he contributed positively.
Mm-hmm. There's this weird thing that's happening nowadays. Maybe it's because of the age of like social media or something, but like all of our like heroes are being like dashed like quickly. Like as soon as like somebody like rises, like somebody's always trying to find like some little thing to bring them down. And even if it's not true, it's like, well, it could be true. And it's like, oh shit, well now I kind of like them anymore.
Like how Brad Pitt is John Lithgow's nephew.
Is that
So
true?
I have a couple of comments
No.
on
I
that.
think that's
alright.
actually from something else, but I don't.
Okay.
But it sounds plausible enough that you're like, wait, is he?
It does. Yeah, it could be true. Yeah. I'm like, okay, whatever. Good for
So
him.
I have
Maybe
a
I
comment
took
on
that
that. So I
for
think we've just been doing it wrong for a long time. I think people that like worship actors and actresses and like celebrities are doing it wrong. You should be just like anything else in the world. You enjoy what they're doing on camera. Like you enjoy, just like you enjoy Bill Clinton, what he did in the presidency, right? But you don't necessarily know the person. And to say that you do, and you feel kind of drawn back, but when you realize that their personal life stuff, it's like you can respect people's work, but you may not just respect them as people. And I think you need to be able to make that distinction. But like classically, people just like worship
Most
the ground
people
that celebrities
can't,
walk
though.
on.
I think that the thing is like most people, if you're seeing these people play a role and then you're seeing what their like, real life is like, because that's kind of being celebrity, is like you're invited in their life and you do become attached and engaged and feel like you know them, even though it's clearly you don't. Like that's what happened with John Lennon. Like the guy literally felt like you knew him and went and killed him.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
Like that's what happens with like stalkers do stuff like that. They imagine or fabricate a relationship that doesn't really exist.
There's
And
a
I think-
real deep story there actually about the guy that killed him. It's actually pretty fascinating about that guy's past and life and everything like that. You're right. He revered John Lennon a lot, but I think it was the Jesus comment that threw him off a little bit because he was from like the deep South and he was raised very religious by his mom. And the Jesus comment, I think, is what sort of put him over the edge a little bit. But my point was like, I feel like celebrities nowadays have to sort of watch their step a lot more because it's so easy for like an ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend to like throw them under the bus quick with like Twitter, Facebook, you name it, like news, whatever. Like as soon as somebody says they have a salacious story about a famous celebrity, like somebody will pick it up, whether it's true or not, or whether the details are unclear or not. It just gets like spread around quick. That leads me to think like if we had social media back when
Then.
the Beatles were around, do you think they would have do you think they would have had as big of an impact as they did?
No. And I'll tell you why.
And for
It's
that-
because
yeah.
you can right now, like at some point, like when they came out, there was like 3 television channels, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that too.
So like
yeah.
everything you saw, it only got there because it was the. Granted, there wasn't like this whole content engine there is now for the thousands of channels that exist, but you know there was what was there is what was there. So everybody saw it, everybody knew it, everybody knew Johnny Carson or Ed Sullivan or whoever was out there. They knew. And like I don't remember either of those guys. I mean, I remember seeing Johnny Carson when I was like a little kid because he like stopped pretty much when my parents would watch him, but I don't really remember him. But that's just everybody knew what it was because there was such limited channels. Now it's like Netflix is around and the internet's around and people watch YouTube stuff. My wife watches like YouTube. She's like, yeah, it's one of the YouTube channels I follow, and I'm like, what? Like, and I've followed. I mean, I've watched some YouTube channels. I watched stuff, Twitch streamers. Like, my entertainment is from everywhere, so nobody is that big of a celebrity to me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it is kind of true that we like for a long time there was definitely a period. There still kind of is. But there's like this. There's a supernatural quality to people that are put on pedestals like that too, and that's kind of the fault of partially of the people, but partially of the media, partially of kind of the whole engine that runs that entire thing to make them more than just people, and they have faults just like anybody else. So like there's got to be the separation between the person and what they do, and you can still respect that Kevin Spacey's a good actor, but not like Kevin Spacey. In my opinion, like I just obviously it's all this stuff that's against him and stuff like that. That's a pretty big scandal, but all that stuff against him
have
is
trouble
like,
separating that stuff, and plenty of people
Yeah.
have separating it the other way too.
sure. And right now it's pretty
they're just
emotionally
people.
hot, so
Well,
it's
Kevin
pretty
Spacey.
it's tough.
Yeah.
But I think on a separate note though too, we're kind of getting back to what we were talking about earlier with like being assassinated part. Like there's a certain thing about dying early as a celebrity that almost
become like
paints
a
your
martyr.
entire past. Yeah, to be this martyr, like white angel of youth and power, which is not usually true. I mean, even like Kurt Cobain or really anybody that recently have like people have demons and stuff like that too. And a lot of times people
Yeah, that
aren't
guy, the
good.
rapper that just died, Mac Miller.
The white guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
There's like a guy named
Yeah.
Mac Miller. Do you know who that is?
Oh, I think you said Macklemore, and I was like, what?
He is a rap. No, but there's a guy named Mac Miller, and he was like kind of becoming like, or maybe he is a hot thing. I don't really know him that well. But he had previously dated Ariana Grande.
Grande.
Old man.
I'm just being hilarious.
He previously dated a 100 grand bar.
Yeah. So yeah, he dated Ariana Grande, and
Haven't we
but
all?
then he died. I think he overdosed.
Okay.
Right. So anyways,
Oh,
but
yeah.
like people are like, oh, I can't believe he. And it's like, he was just some guy that could rap, but he, I don't know, he had like a checkered past and like just all sorts of problems, and he's not like it is very sad that he's dead, especially for all the people that cared about him. But it's not like he's some paragon of the community to like look up to and be like, that's how I should live my life. Mm-hmm. And that's how people I was going to say that John Lennon,
go ahead.
His message throughout all of his stuff was like love and peace and all that stuff. That was why it's very easy to confuse and forget about. You know, so he died. So he was like, now he's gone and it's tragic. So his story becomes like even more beautiful, especially with the way what he talked about.
But for some people, doesn't his message get a little muddied up? Because then you're like, if all we've ever known as kids of the 80s, right, is that like John Lennon was cool, right? He was just like the guy who got assassinated. Mm-hmm. He spread peace and love. Yeah, but like, imagine somebody born later on who's like, well, yeah, I vaguely remember John Lennon. Isn't that the guy that beat his first wife?
If that was the first thing you heard,
Jesus?
It would probably taint your. That's the thing, is what you know the most of is probably tainting your view.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, that the younger generation, like the one after us, may hear that stuff first when they Google John Lennon. Or they might not. I don't know. But I'm just saying that's the problem that you can run into. It's basically the celebrities of the past are getting watered down, essentially. If there's any message
that we can take away from the listeners of this wonderful podcast, and that is do your research before you deal with anything, or if you have any questions about things in general, because it tells you a lot about things. Even just a few minutes of research will tell you a lot more than you get from just XYZ person, and it's like actually pretty insightful.
This is the right podcast to promote researching. I have to say,
it's true. Not reading.
Nope, don't learn to read.
Guys out there, so
I tell you what, you can get by on not reading nowadays pretty easily, from what I heard. So.
Yeah. It's Alexa. Can I have a milkshake?
Alexa, read me this book. I also can't read. God damn it, Alexa.
You could totally... How would you get an Alexa, though? Can you buy an Alexa in a store, or can you only get it from Amazon.com?
Alexa, buy me another Alexa.
Fuck. Self-replicating Alexa. Have you ever heard the concept or the term, or somebody say the phrase, don't meet your heroes?
Yeah.
I think that, it happens on social media now. Like the only things I post on social media are like fun, light things for friends and family. I'm going through like a hard time. I'm not the person that posts that on social media. So all you're seeing from me is this like curated snapshot of my life here and there. And that's what everybody's doing for the most part. Or they're vague booking or whatever it is, where they're just posting like dramatic vague booking, where they like post like a dramatic thing that's like... It's like a thing where they don't put the person's name they're upset with, but they're upset. Clearly, they're posting.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they're just being super vague, but then it's just like, listen, either talk to them in person. Don't post it here. Nobody cares.
It's like internet water cooler talk.
But that's sort of a white trash move, right? Isn't it though?
Yeah, I don't know who's doing it all, but
my apologies to our white trash listeners, by the
way. Well, now you're getting assassinated.
I'm coming down there.
Yeah. Do you have more stuff about John Lennon, Adam?
I'm good. I want to keep it short and not so sweet.
What else has he done?
He's done. Just look it up. I hope you, Justin. Yeah. I point to you.
Yeah, I'm going to do
it. To carry this torch.
Honestly,
I'll point to him.
This is a perfect next step, because I am talking about scandalous pastors.
I just like to make the point that you just porky pigged. That's you like. I'd like to go into this next story.
Well, I realized that isn't necessarily a transition. Where I couldn't say the word.
That had me cracking up.
It's about somebody ate ambrosia and you stupid asshole. All right, so I've got a few pastors that have fallen from grace, as it were.
Yeah. Oh.
And the reason I like pastor scandals is because they're usually very aggressively preaching moral stuff. So they are putting themselves on this moral high ground. They've got the power of Almighty God behind them. And then when they fuck up, it's always because they're doing something that like even regular people doing it, you'd be like, what the fuck?
Glory hole stuff in like an airport bathroom. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's right. It's like their whole life is around having the moral high ground. And then for whatever reason, they're shown that they don't have the moral high ground. And they're like, wait, this is all you do.
Right. Right. Your one skill set is being more moral than me.
I paid
and you're
good
terrible
money.
at it. Like don't think I've seen like somebody that's leading like a mega church, but I would love that to happen. Like Joe, I'd love to see Joel Osteen.
Yep.
He's the guy that's got the big mouth, and he is just he's all this thing, and then I would love to. Yeah. I would actually hate to find out he's like harming people, but it would be so. It would feel like justice. It would be like I knew he was full of shit.
In a way, I think he is harming people with all the money he takes from them. But it's funny you mentioned Joel Osteen, because I saw her like Christian Republican family members the other day put up a post on Facebook, and it was braggadocious. It was saying Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey. Yeah, it was. And I was like, wait a minute. Well, so it said Jesus rode into Jerusalem or whatever on a donkey. Joel Osteen rides in a $325,000 Lamborghini. And I was like, that's bad, right? Like, he's not supposed to have the Lamborghini. Yeah, but this was like a Christian person trying to like say he deserves these things because he's Christian. I'm like, wait a minute. I think we're missing the point. Like,
right. It's the simple cup that Indiana Jones should drink from.
Yeah, it's the cup of a carpenter, you stupid idiots. You drink the other one, your bones melt away or some shit. You know what I mean?
There was one guy, and I'm trying to remember his name. Is it Creflo Dollar? Is that who I'm thinking of?
Oh, yeah.
Which is a person's name.
Yes.
Okay. Creflo Dollar. What is this dude's... What was his thing? It was something like he basically was like, I need... Creflo Dollar. He had a fundraiser asking his congregation to donate $300 each to his fundraiser. Do you want to know what he was trying to get? A $65 million private jet.
Oh, okay. Yes. Awesome.
So that he can travel safely and comfortably to spread the word of God. Like, Jesus Christ.
Awesome.
All right.
He's still tweeting right now.
Yeah, like it just happened. People were just like incredulous at it, like the rest of the world, and then his followers are like, nope, this is what it takes.
You have to semi-admire the balls, just the enormous balls of somebody.
Yeah, do you
literally
think
to
they
ask
believe
a group of people? Yes, I do.
No, I'm saying the pastors. Do you think they know they're scamming people?
Boy, that's a tough one.
Like that guy. Do you think he knows he's like
about
pulling
Trump
a fast
all the
one?
time? I think so.
Really?
Say that again, Adam?
I think this about Trump all the time, and I think that
Trump knows. Like, or I guess the question is, or is Trump or these guys, like, do they know they're scamming their people, or do they think that they're blessed with this skill and this is how it should work? They're this gift from God and this is how it should work. Like, I don't know.
I think they have a talent.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Does it matter? Does it fucking matter? Like,
no, it doesn't.
No, but then it's
people.
I guess the question is, do they? Because like, if you believe it, then like, I feel like they're taking advantage of people. That's why I don't like it.
But
if the people that are giving money believe it, and the person that's receiving the money, even though he's getting a ton of money, literally thinks he's spreading the word of God, even though I don't think he needs that much money to travel around and spread the word of God, no. I'd be a little less upset about it.
Yeah. But there's a lot of mental mind games there that I don't like. First of all, my answer to that is I think they know what they're doing, but they've sort of found some way to justify it in their own head. You know what I mean?
It's like a delusion, a little bit, self-delusion.
Yeah, there's a little bit of delusion, even though it strays way from the path of the stuff that they're talking about.
Here's something. If you're into this, here's a thing. So if you're one of these people,
question,
right?
What the kind of name is Creflo Dollar?
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's like Velcro backwards. So when you
there's no fee. That's
close.
His real fucking name, Creflo Augustus Dollar.
It's not real. He's not even a real person, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my God.
But when you do that, right, like you're at the top of this totem pole, right, and you're asking for money from your whatever constituents or whatever it is, right? And you've convinced yourself that, you know, this is something I want from them, but I'm also convincing myself that it's something that's good for the religion, right?
Yeah.
Do they have to also convince themselves that Jesus or whoever the God is they're worshiping is also going to feel the exact same way? Yes, otherwise, they're just temporarily fooling themselves, and Jesus is going to be like, "Hey, what's up with that fucking Lamborghini, man?" You know what I mean?
It's a Ferrari, but yeah.
Whatever, like they, like he's not fooling Jesus. You know what I mean? So he obviously, either they don't care about religion at all, and they're just exploiting people, or they do care sort of, but they're still exploiting people.
I think there's
a hot
argument. Go ahead.
Hot takes.
I have a hot take. I think the whole idea of Christianity has been bastardized. Discuss.
Well, of course. Yeah.
Hot cakes with Justin.
John. Hot cake because you're going to hell.
Is it an IHOP? We're just like behind there.
He didn't say hot cake. He said hot take, you son of a bitch.
Do what I want.
Although when you first said it, I was like, cakes. It's My fat Elvis face. I can do this.
It's a Jesus face in the hotcakes he just hands over. Discuss. You son of a-
Have you ever seen that where somebody gets a pancake and it has like they think they see Jesus in the shape on the browning?
In the batter, yeah. It just turns out John just has like a Jesus head-faced pancake mold that he just keeps like.
Justin's morning radio show would be like a WHCK with Justin and Ambrosia in the morning.
So, but the thing is though, here's the I think the obvious go-to argument is that against these people having that kind of money and using it the way they're using it, because the whole like one of the huge teachings of Jesus, right, is to help the poor and destitute. Imagine how much you could do with $65 million.
That's what I'm saying.
My God. I could help so
Driving
many
or flying around in a jet is a complete misuse of that kind of money.
Yep.
You can't argue Jesus out of that one. You know what I mean?
No, you can't. He
I
literally
guess I
could have
think
bought
that's
a whole bunch of houses for homeless people and like paid off. You know what I mean? Like that, it would have been done.
Oh my God.
Like, that's
and
that.
Programs to get, I mean, that's so much money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So that I wasn't even talking about Creflo Dollar, my thing. So let me get to my guys real quick.
Yeah.
And they are all guys, every single one of them.
Yeah.
So we'll start with a guy named Ted Haggard.
Hashtag me too.
Yeah, hashtag these guys too. So we're starting with a guy named Ted Haggard, and he was born in 1956 in Colorado. He's 62 years old now, but he was an American evangelical pastor, and he was one of these like, and you're gonna guess where this is going real quick, but he was one of those guys that was very anti-gay, like vocal about it.
Yes.
And he had a small congregation. He was a little like asynchronous with the way Christianity is usually run. Like he, usually they tithe and you pass around a thing and put money in it, and that's kind of how a church runs. And these people would like bring in a military vet and everybody would throw money at their feet. And like he would do things that were like a little different than regular. So he kind of had a different way about him. And it gets even more different than that in a second. He actually was caught in 2000. He was running a church called the New Life Church in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Okay. So FYI, just quick sidebar. Colorado Springs is south of Denver, about like an hour and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, it's near the mountains, and it's where the military base is there too, for the like Air Force, I think it is. And it's incredibly right wing. Like it's very, very just for background. Just
okay. Very conservative.
Okay. So
okay.
that might get very, very, very conservative there.
Okay.
So also they're always anti-gay, but they always talk like this, really loud.
Well, if they're in the South,
I don't like gay people.
This just in Colorado doesn't sound like that.
No. So he probably doesn't sound like that because he's not from the South. But
fair enough. So
he was the president of the National Association of Evangelicals from 2003 to 2006, and he was the founder of the Association of Life-Giving Churches, and he was a pastor at this New Life Church and the founder. But he was also very vocal about, anti-gay, destroying the home, all that kind of stuff, and he advocated against the legalization of same-sex marriage. But he made a headline in November of 2006 when a male prostitute named Mike Jones, sorry,
Mike Jones.
Sorry, it's not that Mike Jones.
No, I figured as much. Yeah.
But essentially, that he had paid him for sex and had done crystal meth with him.
Whoa!
And, yes,
wow.
like what a jump. So he, and then his wife's name is Gail, which has gay in it, which is funny. So he initially
Gail, fetch me my robes, Gail. It's time for me to go to the congregation. Tell all these people how gays are going to hell.
Congregation. God damn it, Ted. So
Gail, fetch me my dildo. I'm going to show all these Christians what they're not supposed to be touching.
God damn it, Gail, you're such an enabler. Now, Ted, we're never going to get on jet with antics like this.
She's one of those ladies that puts on her lipstick shakily in the mirror each morning. I know he loves me. I know he still loves me.
They're still together. Even today.
Of course they are.
So he basically
Doesn't matter.
This guy, he initially had denied the allegations and claimed to have purchased methamphetamine and thrown it away without using it. Yeah, right. He eventually resigned his post.
Throw it away without using it.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, at least get your money back.
His checklist of things is bought meth, never did it, can totally read. So he then later admitted to having used drugs, participated in some sexual activity with Jones, and engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a young man who attended the church he was running. So then so there was a big blowout. He fell out of his, he got kicked out of the church, whatever, resigned. But in 2010, he and his wife founded another church in Colorado Springs. And he's still, as of September 2018, still the pastor.
Wow.
Bastards, man. Tell you what.
Yeah, so
Bastards.
he essentially he resigned in November of 2006.
Same message? He still has the same anti-gay message? He
I
didn't
don't-
just
I-
lop
it
that off of his
I
resume
didn't
at
really
this point?
see. Backspace.
Whoops.
The one part where he's not a hypocrite is the meth. Like, there's nothing about not doing meth in the Bible anywhere. You know what I mean? And he doesn't have an anti-meth.
No, but the Bible does
message,
say
so-
like you should follow the laws of the land you live in. Like that's kind
Does
of
it
one of the
say that?
messages. Yeah, you should follow
Oh.
the laws of of your kingdom or whatever it says. Something along
You
those
should
lines
follow
of
the laws of your kingdom.
I do.
Oh, all right, good.
Oh, well, you could be a pastor then. That's fine.
John just hangs up the call. That's why I was just checking in.
Yeah, he like
He's
secretly
good.
talk to the cops. Yeah. No, it's
like,
all right.
what?
These guys are cool.
That's why you're having so much microphone troubles. It's interfering with the wire you're wearing.
Oh, what? I can't. Let me turn on the better internet. God damn it, better internet. Stupid.
Next episode, you've got an earpiece because they're feeding you less stupid lines. Hey, John's talking like a regular human this time. So he did eventually admit to having used drugs and having been masturbated by Jones.
I love when people misuse that verb. By the way,
Can you be
That's
the
how
right
I-
thing.
You can't.
It's not.
I
I don't
think
think
you
masturbation means self. I don't think it
But you
means
can't
self.
You can't masturbate someone. Like the definition of masturbation is you doing it to yourself.
Yeah, I think it's
don't
self
think so.
implied.
If you're masturbating someone, you're giving
Adam,
them
Google
a
it.
hand job. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't want to search for that.
Alexa, can you masturbate yourself?
Oh my god. Oh, you got headphones in. John, ask it. What's the definition of masturbation?
Alexa, what's the definition of masturbation?
Masturbation is usually defined as manual of yourself or another for sexual pleasure.
She said another.
Boom.
Okay.
You got schooled.
What
Damn.
the fuck, Alexa? How do you know this?
I'm not going to question Alexa. Yeah, you know this.
John has programmed you well.
John's got like a robotic
what
arm
if
with like
I
a dishwashing glove on it.
These are all John's answers.
What if I ask Alexa what masturbation is and she just goes, like, you don't know?
Yeah. Just plays
She
back
goes,
audio
"Come on,
recordings and be like,
John.
oh god, oh god.
Playing masturbation playlist. What the fuck,
Oh
Alexa?
shit. That would be amazing. It started playing something.
Aren't you too old for questions like this, John?
Your mother won't be happy, John. Alexa, what the hell?
emailing? Your mom telling on you. Alexa talks into a microphone. We got him. It's wearing a wire.
You realize you can't be a pastor anymore now, don't you, John?
You can. You just
John,
have to.
John, your meth has been delivered to your front door. Oh my God, Google tells us. Amazon tells us everything. Shit.
It's not Google.
Ugh.
Yeah, that, you just
I
made
know,
Alexa.
I missed
You just
out.
made Alexa mad.
I know.
It used it. It just texted you a frowny emoticon. All right. So let me. So essentially, between his leaderships, they moved to Phoenix, Arizona. They started attending a church.
It's the same guy?
Yeah. So he moved. Like there was like in 2006 he stopped being a pastor. In 2010 he started a new church. So there's a 4-year period of him like rebuilding his life basically.
From the ground up, I hope.
Probably. So apparently the couple, what is it? They were on an episode of Divorce Court in 2009.
Ooh, good.
He said he wanted his wife to divorce him after the scandal, saying that he thought he had become so toxic that divorce was best for Gail and their children.
Yeah, of course it was. That way he can now go have sex with all kinds of men like he really wanted in the first place.
Yes. Get her out of here.
Yeah.
Gail's a real
just go,
cockblock.
just take the kids and leave me alone in this house with all the dildos. Just get out. I don't deserve you. I don't deserve you.
This voice, John, my God. You got to say the word cockblock in that voice, though.
Gail, you've been cockblocking me for too long.
God, dude. All right, so I got another person. This one is not as fun. Maybe it's more fun.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? I have 3, so I'm going to do the next one, which is a little less fun. So have you guys ever heard of the religion Aum Shinrikyo? Rikyo? It is a Japanese religion.
Nope.
No, actually.
I find that very surprising.
No, yeah.
Is it in Japanese?
I don't know. I can't read Japanese.
Yeah.
I can't read ... Japanese. All right. So there's a guy whose name is Shoko Asahara. And he's this like Asian guy with like long hair and a long beard. And he's partially blind from glaucoma when he was a kid, I think. So he started this religion. He started this religion that became a cult, kind of. And the religion generally was like a combination of just a kind of like pulling from everything, like from cultural stuff in Japan, from parts of the Bible. Like it made this like
pantheistic.
Yeah, but it wasn't like actually worshiping those things. It was like they created their own thing out of all those parts. He would he would borrow parts from other. Yeah, so the doctrine was and I don't know what this word means. Well, I guess it does. It means combining differently. So syncretic belief system that draws upon all sorts of. It was based on the guy that started it, Ashihara. It drawed upon his like idiosyncratic interpretations of elements from Indian Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, Hinduism, and some Christian stuff, yoga. Like brought all these things together in this like kind of like Nostradamus. Even it had all these. Yeah.
Even got Nast in there.
So it worshipped Shiva as like the main image to worship.
Like Temple of Doom.
Is that maybe
the bad guys in Temple of Doom? Like, you betrayed Shiva.
I think that might just be.
When he's like, he says Shiva in there. I'm telling you,
I think it might just be racist.
That sounds
in a religion with thousands of gods. He might be racist. I don't know.
He might be,
just like every other celebrity. I don't know. They're all racist.
Everyone's an asshole.
He's best friends with Lando Calrissian.
So he, so the thing is the initial thing was that where he essentially they were trying to restore the original Buddhism. That was the idea of all these thoughts coming together. They were trying to restore original Buddhism, whatever the fuck that means.
Okay.
So the guy actually had a different name, but changed his name to Shoko Oshihara. I don't know why, but he did.
That happens a lot, actually.
Yeah. So he wrote. But they both, I mean, maybe it's because I don't speak Japanese. They both sound the same, but maybe one means something and one doesn't. So he published a book about the doctrine, and it was called, hold on, it's maybe the best book I've ever heard of. God damn it, now I can't find the name of it. He published a book, and it was called, Declaring Myself the Christ. In a spoiler, I don't want to, I'll summarize it. In the book, he called himself Christ, he was Japan's only fully enlightened master, as well as identifying himself as the Lamb of God.
This guy's voiced in John Lennon.
Yes. Oh, didn't beat his kids though. So then it slowly evolved into becoming a doomsday cult. So his purported mission was to take upon himself the sins of the world like Jesus did. So he claimed he could transfer spiritual power to his followers and ultimately take away their sins and bad deeds. Doesn't sound so bad. You might follow him if you're into that sort of thing.
Sure.
But then he did eventually outline a prophecy that included a third world war instigated by the United States, a nuclear Armageddon.
Okay.
I mean, that
could still happen.
Yeah, so he claimed humanity would end except for the elite few who joined him, or joined his religion.
Oh, boy.
And the mission was not only to spread the word of salvation, but also to survive the end times, in quotes. He said that the Armageddon would occur in 1997, which hilariously is when the movie Armageddon came out.
God, he's so smart, actually.
He's like, there's going to be an Armageddon with a big bomb, and it's like, wait, that's the plot of Armageddon, right?
And it's going to have a great in it.
Yeah.
It's going to be this great Aerosmith song to take him out of it.
Now we will all join me in prayer. If you close your eyes, I don't want you to miss a thing.
I knew you were going to say lyrics to that song. That's hard. But I don't want to close my eyes.
Yeah, I don't want to close my eyes, but yeah. So, okay. So then he continued on. This was on the 80s, actually. When he first founded it was like in 81, 84. But then in 1995, he like a very small select few kind of separated from the general followers they conducted a terrorist attack on the Japanese subway system using sarin gas.
Oh no.
Yes, so sarin gas is a fucking jerk. Do you even know what sarin gas is?
I mean, yeah, I don't know the chemical compound of it, but I know what it is. It's not good. It's
my
good,
oh
no.
my.
Deary
my.
me.
Heavens.
I can't believe they released Sarah's gas in there.
Sarah's gas.
He reacted like an old lady.
Yes.
Deary me. Oh
Oh
dear.
goodness, you had to sit down and take a sip of lemonade.
Toss me my smelling salts.
It's got I like the fan, like the little tiny
the paper
fan.
fan.
Like barely.
my do declare.
I apologize, but that is pretty drastic, right?
So it is that's why I was asking you earlier about Schedule 1 chemicals.
Yeah.
So sarin gas, I didn't know what sarin gas was, so I looked it up. Sarin gas is a super deadly neurotoxin. Essentially, it paralyzes your lungs within 1 to 10 minutes of contact. So you basically die of asphyxia. You like drowned in plain sight.
This
You-
is like
you asphyxiate.
it's from because recently there was was it Syria or wherever it was? I forget exactly where it was. I'm really bad with like history and geography.
Libya, yeah.
Maybe it was Libya or whatever too. They were accusing them
they-
of possibly doing sarin gas attacks on their own people and things like that because it's against
United Nations
law.
protocol.
Yeah. So it's banned as a biological weapon. Yeah. So he basically released it in the subway. So there were 12 people dead and one person died after 14 years of hospitalization. But still, my God. So and about 1,000 people were injured that were not fatal. So 10 people basically carried out this attack in 95. And I have a very vague memory of it happening.
I can't believe there's ever 1,000 people in a subway.
Well,
it's Japan.
Yeah. You ever seen the trains? You ever seen the footage of people getting on a train in Japan? It's literally faces pushed against glasses, it's so packed.
And it's weird. They cut each other and they don't give a shit. They just they just it's weird. Yeah. They have no they don't have the same manners thing that we do over here. We have a hang up about manners.
I thought there were all sorts of polite manners.
Oh, Japan. Okay. Yeah, China's a different story. Japan's different. Japan's very, very regimented, but China's
for people that this isn't a visual podcast, by the way. For people who don't know, Justin just went. I thought they always were like this, and he just did the bow thing.
I did the hand. I mean, but that's a classic thing. You always see kids.
Japan.
It's true.
Japan is super disciplined in that regard. So most of those are from Beijing and from
Listen, he does Aikido. He knows.
Yeah, I do. I do. Dude, I heard a crazy story recently. One of my kudos to my friend who told me this too. But they were in Japan over the past year or two, whatever. And they were traveling there for a while. And I think I might have told you this story, but they're so responsible and precise there that little kids take the train to go to school by themselves. Kids there, age of 4 or 5, they do everything themselves. They leave, they have a backpack, they pack their own stuff, they have their own toothbrush, they go on a train, they walk down the street, they do this own stuff. And it's just it's almost robotic, and it's just so well maintained. Everyone respects each other so much. They left a laptop on the seat by accident on the train. Later on, they got a call from the police saying that somebody picked up the police station and they found it.
Oh my God, that would be gone so fast. And
done, sold from Matt.
I was I'm pretty sure in Chicago I've seen somebody with a laptop on a train. Someone just take the laptop from their lap.
Is that true?
That would never fucking happen.
Is that true?
But I've seen stuff where people have just taken stuff, for sure.
Yeah.
Really?
I kind of believe it.
It's what kind of fantasy world is this?
Dude, we just went to New York, and I was a little worried about having a 3-year-old on a subway and what we might experience. But we actually we stayed during the day, and we were fine.
I was gonna say New York's not like that anymore.
It's still crime. It's New York Times Square isn't a hive of scum and villainy, but
no, Times Square.
But it used to be in the 80s. It was.
It's true. Yeah, 70s and 80s. Yeah.
I ride the subway all the time, and I feel comfortable with it. But if I had a 3-year-old, I don't know if I would want to ride the train as much as I do either. It's just it's good to get around. You get used to it, but at the same time, it's it's a shock to go to New York City from where you guys are right now, where there's no subways. It's a pretty big.
It was cool, man. I really like the experience, but we I went in with like some, all my knowledge was from television and movies, and I just thought New Yorkers were going to be very like cold and rude. But, like
Mostly Home Alone 2.
Yeah, I base most of my decisions and life choices on Home Alone 2.
Yeah, of course.
So especially when it comes to New York, I'm going to be, lost in it. And I expected people to be rude, but like people would like stop and let us walk across the street, and like people would give up their seat on the subway for the kid, and like it was like, or like at one point, Jasmine and Jonah sat down on two seats, but there was no seats on either side, so I sat like on the other side of the train. And like a woman that was sitting there was like, "Would you want to switch?" So and I was like, "Wow, that's really nice." Like I didn't even think that. I don't know. It was cool. It was
because
not
you
what I
have to
expected.
fucking pay me to move.
Yeah. And that's when she pulled out a knife and stole my laptop.
You want your kid back?
You want to switch your money or their life? I'm like, Jesus Christ!
Blade up your ass.
Oh my God!
See, that's why I'm anti-gay, because that's all I want to do is throw blades up the ass.
Gail, get my blades.
Up the ass.
Gail, get my anti-gay blades.
Is Gail the best name ever to say with that voice?
It is, I know. Gail.
Gail, we are out of sweet tea. I just can't even.
I feel bad
Y'all
for
is a
Gail.
bunch of sinners up in here.
Repent. You're going to hell.
Shit.
This is the
Get
best.
down on your goddamn knees.
It's a weird service you brought me to today, John. I was expecting a little more of a, Jesus loves you type message. Let's talk about dildos and blades.
You.
Let Jesus love you.
Yeah. All right. So essentially, he did that, and
Velcro?
no, that's the sarin attack. Creflo.
Oh yeah.
Sarin attack.
Uh,
All right. I got.
Oof.
You got more? You got time for more?
yeah.
All right. So this guy's name, amazing. So this is another pastor. It's all scandaled pastors all the way down. So this guy's name is Tony Alamo.
Oh.
Which is maybe the best name I've ever heard of.
I
Let me
love
see if
that
I can.
name.
Yeah, I do too.
Tony
Let me find
Alamo.
a picture of this dude because he's cool looking.
It's got a good ring to it.
Yeah.
It does have a good ring to it, yeah. He could be a cowboy or like a pimp, and it still wouldn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say Tony Alimony, and then I was really excited. But
No.
holy
God,
shit!
So this dude's
Oh my
fucking
God.
cool. So this is Tony
Oh my
Alamo.
God.
So like you can picture him in the
So
in the 70s.
for description. So for people that are listening to this and can't see this or can't read, when you go to one of those like Wild West things, and you have people put the fake boas on you in the saloon, and it's that sepia tone, and you have
Yeah.
a cowboy hat.
Yes,
That,
yes.
Except for the background and what you're wearing is 80s like club, and you just
Yeah.
did a line of coke. That's what
Yes.
Tony Alimony looks like right now.
Not
It's
a
not
problem.
alimony. God
All right, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, yo,
So-
wait, I'm Tony Alimony. I'm constantly, I always got to pay my wife some fucking money every month. You know what I mean?
Forget about it. So
Forget about it.
So he was he rocketed to fame in the 70s, which he looks like he's from the 70s.
He looks like he rocketed as well. Yeah.
So he rocketed to fame for preaching fundamentalist Christianity, and his wife passed away in 1982, and he went a little crazy, and he like embalmed her body and displayed her for 6 months, saying he expected her to rise from the dead.
Oof.
I would go to
Goodness.
that.
No, yeah, that church.
Instantly go to
Yes.
that.
It's better than Casadega.
So she died of breast cancer in 1982. In the reported belief that she would rise from the dead, she was embalmed and kept on display for 6 months, and eventually she was entombed in a heart-shaped marble mausoleum on church property.
Oh.
Precious.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So essentially, he's a money stealing pastor. That's his whole deal. So he basically, the church was his own piggy bank. You know what I mean? So he was just taking money from that, and then he eventually, after his first church, the Alamo Christian Foundation, ACF, went belly up. He was convicted of child sex offenses in 2009, and he had tax problems and criminal proceedings. So he was arrested a number of times beginning in 91. The arrest culminated in 2009. 10 counts of transporting minors across state lines for sex.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
no.
Yeah. The IRS, he started a thing called the foundation after the wife died. His Alamo Christian Foundation was discontinued and replaced by the newly incorporated Music Square Church. It was granted 501c tax-exempt status, so like a religious organization.
Nice.
But it was granted that status in 81, but then the IRS revoked it in 96 because they realized that it was just this guy was everything he did is just him. There was no church. It was just him.
Man.
It was basically he realized he was using it as him. There was no separation between Tony Alamo and this thing, and so he was just using it not to pay taxes. Amazing.
Put all your money in my Tony Alimony baloney bag.
Don't say baloney bag.
I mean, he kind of looks like a baloney bag if you have the classic.
A little bit. There's multiple pictures of him wearing like aviators with like a 70s suit coat on and like the collar that's not
Every
buttoned.
single picture you've linked so far, he has aviators on, and he's in a full suit with aviators on.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
His nickname is Baloney Bag, so he's like Tony Baloney Bags Alamo.
Hold on, I got a picture for you of him.
Hey, get a load of my ex-wife.
They call me the BB. Oh my god! It's like, wow. This does look like one of the sticky bandits, actually.
Yeah, it didn't last for him.
Oh no!
Oh, Tony Alimony.
he can't see in that picture because he doesn't have his aviators.
Yeah, it's too sunny out. Yeah, he just has sensitive eyes. He's not that cool.
Yeah,
that's a thing with cult leaders, isn't it? Didn't the guy at aviators all the time too?
Which guy?
What's his name? Jonestown? Jim Jones?
Jim Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, he's known for wearing the aviators all the time too. But I
think
heard that was
it's
because
just
of meth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, well, he wasn't getting any sleep, so his eyes always looked bloodshot, so he had to cover them up. So
I got one more person with a great name.
Okay.
It's a guy named Peter Popoff.
Ooh, like the vodka?
Is there a vodka called Popoff?
There is.
Popov, yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, so this guy's German-born. He's a televangelist, but he had this thing where his career was he would have an audience and he would be able to read all these like intimate details that no one else would know about them, like their address and all these things.
He's then, like one of the John Edwards type people.
No,
right?
John Edwards would there was a trick to what he was doing. This guy would literally be like, your address is 1015 South Street.
Oh.
Your mother's name. Like he would tell them all these things.
Okay.
Because God was telling him. And then they would believe him, and then he would use that trust to heal their disease. It's like faith heal them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, he was doing it with such it was too accurate, obviously.
Specificity.
I was gonna say that, but yeah, he was just doing it so accurately that people were like, there's no way he's really doing this. And it turns out there was a bunch of skeptics that were saying this isn't real and you're not really doing this, and they eventually discovered that his wife was feeding him the information with an earpiece.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just saw this. Yeah, that's amazing. I was gonna say I just saw this recently. They have the recordings of what was going into his earpiece the whole time.
Yeah.
It's crazy spooky. Yeah.
Yeah. So his wife is I guess they've got background information where they make people submit whatever they submit to get to attend the seminar. And then she's just reading that off and being like, I'm looking for and they would be able to feed him the information. But his methods were definitively exposed in 86 by the magician and skeptic James Randi and his associate Steve Shaw, an illusionist.
I like how God would have nothing. God, with his almighty power, would have nothing better to do than say people's addresses into somebody's head for no reason.
I also just think that he's and the expert witness we call on stage is the magician. He just comes out with dogs.
James Randi. So he's the scandal was that he was lying a bunch. Actually, James Randi, I think I've read about him before. He's a guy that goes around and exposes frauds. That's his whole thing.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Is he the same one that he has $1 million for anybody who can prove that they're a psychic or something like that?
Is that the guy?
It might be. Yeah. There's a guy who's I will give any psychic if they can actually
they can prove it's real.
Prove it?
They can
prove.
Yeah.
He sponsored the $1 million paranormal challenge. You're right. Yes.
I've heard of this guy.
How can you prove? How can you prove that? I mean,
that's why he doesn't have to give away $1 million. Shut up, Adam.
Yeah, shut up, Adam.
I mean, I'm going to do that too.
I want to believe.
Peter Popoff?
Yeah, so Peter Popoff, he's not the skeptic. James Randi is. But James Randi's arguably more interesting.
Peter Popoff and baloney bags. PP in the morning.
Hey, y'all. Do the voice.
Hey, I'm BB. And I'm BB.
Baloney bags.
Peter Popoff and baloney bags in the morning.
Wow, 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 wow. Beer, 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 beer.
Turn it on and rip the knob off.
Jesus
God damn it, I can't even talk. So
I love that line, by the way.
I know you do. I've heard you say it before.
Destroy your car radio. What the fuck?
Enjoy our music or talking so much. Destroy some of your own property.
I don't fucking need any other stations.
Just biting the. Why?
What kind of fucking psycho would do that?
I was just thinking, does my car still have knobs for the radio? Because it does have a radio in it. Does it have knobs? I don't know. I think it has like.
I think mine it has buttons that for like seeking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So
Oh,
you can't even rip press the button off. Pop the button off. Hey, that's us. That's me, PP.
I would still listen to that show.
So 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 essentially he did that, but then this guy Popoff, he's still active doing things. He had
now?
He's still alive.
He's getting masturbated by that other guy that you were talking about.
I hope so. Alexa, what's they call it? He's like, I need another Popoff. So essentially he falsely claimed God was revealing the information to him so that Popoff could cure them by faith healing, but he went bankrupt the next year after he got called out. But then he made a comeback in the late 90s, and beginning in the mid 2000s, Popoff bought TV time to promote Miracle Spring Water on late night infomercials and referred to himself as a prophet. Business Insider once remarked, no matter how many times his claims are debunked, he seems to bounce back with another version of the same old scam, and it keeps working.
God, it makes me sick sometimes.
Like, what's the...
I'd like to think I don't know anybody that gives money to these people, but I have some
I'm sure
relatives
do.
that I could see. Yeah, just...
Did you ever see the John Oliver bit about the televangelist cash thing where he ended up making his own church and then donating all the money or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. And it's so predatory. That's what I don't like about it.
It is, yeah.
I don't know. But it is fascinating, and I think this is why I pick these guys, because I like when people get their comeuppance.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That's what I like about these guys' stories.
So that might, Justin, if you have time, by the way, because I know it's
baby, I got time. I got all the time.
Ooh, he said baby. Okay, so your guys got comeuppance. My guy did not. I'd like
especially
to
that first guy got comeuppance.
Yeah, comeuppance all over everyone.
Yeah.
I
need to divorce my wife and these pants immediately.
Gail, I want you to get out. Peter Popoff is coming over. He's going to get the ghost out of my junk.
Peter Popoff is coming over. He's bringing his baloney bag. I swear to God, Ted, if you bring over Tony Baloney again, his name's not Tony Baloney, his name's Tony Alamo.
If you bring over Peter Popoff, you better get your ass on over here. And then Tony
God
Baloney
damn it,
bags
Gail. Who's that on the phone?
Gail.
Is that Tony Baloney? His name's Tony Alamo.
Tell his old gay ass to get off the phone.
He wearing them sunglasses.
That PP and that BB.
Best keep your baloney bags where they belong.
In
Jesus
Alamo. What is the famous the standoff of the Alamo? What is it? What's the famous?
Remember the Alamo or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the okay.
This is not a history podcast, Justin.
Ooh,
no, sometimes it is. Anyways, I think we got a lot of history about John. Yeah, so
it's true.
Bring us down. Comeuppance, baby. What you got?
Oh, bring us up. Yeah, bring us up.
Well, there's no comeuppance here. This gentleman received. And I feel like this is the scandal that was kind of forgotten. You guys are not sports fans, so I'm the only person who brings like a sports perspective here. You'll know who this is, by the way, so don't get too worried.
He killed his wife and her lover. I get it.
Fucking Shawshank over here. Yeah, so this is the guy who did not get his comeuppance. This scandal happened like middle of his career, still had a great career afterwards. This is a scandal that a lot of people have forgotten about. Can you guys guess who I'm already going to name?
Is it the dogfighting guy?
It is not. I don't.
Was he a good
That's
sport
good.
about it?
Say again. Anybody?
RG3?
No.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Chris Brown.
Um,
He's not a
Chris Brown's a
guy.
good guess, but no.
is
Yeah.
it, is it
sports guy.
the baseball guy that like
No. More
okay.
famous, and like recent too.
Oh,
Aaron Hernandez.
That's actually good. These are all really good scandals I could have used, but anyway,
Is
this is
He's like, damn it.
No. Steroids seemed a little too easy.
Lance
This
Armstrong.
scandal, no, that's also good. But
Get your head
this
out of
is
your
a
ass,
scandal-
John. Pick one of these things.
these are all right, John.
Well, I mean, they are all scandals. Yeah,
Just tell us to stop guessing. Yes, of course it is.
So the gentleman's name is Kobe Bryant.
Never heard of him.
And
Oh, the tennis
I
star.
talk about
Yeah.
This is why I thought sports would be good, because you guys don't follow it like I do, and you throw those. little
I
cats
know
in
he
there, and
didn't
it's
do
good.
Yeah,
Didn't do what?
it. Just go ahead. I'm not going to steal it.
Oh,
the
okay,
black
okay.
horse jockey. Yeah, I remember him.
He was fighting that dog.
Yeah,
Is that him?
on mounted
being-
horseback in full plate armor. That guy.
This is going just the way I wanted it to.
Yeah.
I talk about this all the time with another guy who's who's just into the NBA as much as I am. People forgot that
You
Kobe
talk
Bryant
about this specific scandal?
Yes. Well, when talking about the NBA, but we have to bring this.
Every
It just
time.
it got forgotten somewhere in the annals of history.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant fucking raped a woman and did not go to jail.
Yep.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like I kind of knew this, but I thought he
Like they were so she didn't consent, but they were like together on purpose, but then he ended up getting the sex from
forcing
her.
himself upon her.
Yes.
Yeah.
He the word boner just
Somebody say boner. I didn't.
I thought Adam said boner, and I just like chuckle.
Once in a while.
Did one of you guys make a fart sound? So, anyways, like Kobe Bryant, this happened in 2003 in your neck of the woods. Your old neck of the woods, Adam, Colorado. So I assume it was a road game. Went there to play the Nuggets for a night. Probably whooped them up. Wanted to celebrate. Kobe Bryant's married at the time, unfortunately. Well, fortunately for his wife, not fortunately for his
He got her a giant ring
baloney
after
bags.
that.
Yeah. Yes, correct. So now you're starting to remember. So it's like, first of all, surprise, NBA guys cheat on their wives. it's one for you guys. Shouldn't be any sort of.
My heroes never meet them.
Yeah, exactly. It's tying everything together now.
Yeah.
So like he brings this girl back to I think her hotel room, as a matter of fact, and apparently this gets bad. Like rape is bad already, but when it's like
You don't
anal
say.
rape.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was like anal rape, and like he was arrested. Like it was in handcuffs. This was like 2003, like right before. Well, I shouldn't say right before, but kind of like right before social media and like cell phones started to come out. And
Yeah,
everything, right.
and it
Yeah.
wasn't big yet. Like Facebook really hit off at like 2007 or so.
This was like the MySpace.
2006.
Time, I think,
That's when
right?
it like went. I think yeah.
I still remember like being on the news, but I don't remember like what came of it, I guess.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he came, but I mean, like the thing is the we can cut that out, but like
We're gonna add it in twice.
he came.
It just breaks into like a remix.
This guy won championships before the rape, and then won championships after the rape. His rape thing has been totally whitewashed on the fact that he is like one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Like won championships after the fact. Like even his like last game ever, he scored like 60 points or something like that.
Was it the general premise? And I'm not trying to like say I have an opinion either way, but like, how could it have been so forgotten and overlooked? Because it wasn't like he didn't go out and stalk a woman down and rape her. The rape was they were having romantic time, and then she didn't want to continue, and he did anyways.
My theory is
right?
it's the same old. Well, no, not well. It's somewhat, but my theory is it's the same old thing that happens with stuff like this. It's just that like you get a really good attorney because you can afford a really good attorney, and they sort of just put all the reasonable doubt in the jury's mind,
yes,
and then it's
you're
like,
right.
well, you know what I mean. And then like goes back to the NBA. Lakers, championships more and more and more. He gets like his final like retirement year was like a whole send off type thing. Like the whole was like a goodbye Kobe tour type of thing.
Yeah.
Scored like 60 points in the last game, and it was just like it has been like.
Is that a significant amount? I don't really know.
60 points in a game is significant, especially when you're in your mid to late 30s. Yeah. So, but like
games get to like
it's a lot for soccer.
Points.
Yeah. So. But it's weird how like in when you watch things now, when people talk about Kobe now, it's just like, well, where does he fall in like the greatest players of time list? Like,
right, that's what they're talking about.
The man is a goddamn rapist, and it has been completely forgotten. And it's like
it's like Tom Brady.
But it's
like what?
It's like Tom Brady. He's also a rapist.
I am not going to let you slander his name that way. You're a terrible person.
So there's, I was saying to call back kind of earlier, like the separating the actor from themselves for the acting performance and separating the basketball player from the particular person. There's certain things that are obviously kind of unforgivable when you cross those lines, and I think we can agree that if you rape somebody, like I don't care how good a basketball player you are, you deserve to go to fucking jail like everybody fucking else. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not like it's not like you misappropriately touched somebody one time and that's coming up in your past and they're throwing it in your face and like it's not a good thing. But I still like your acting performances. But you're as a person, you're a little bit more gray to me. It's like you've just crossed a line in legal territory. You don't deserve just to get out because you're fucking Kobe Bryant. You know what I mean?
The Wikipedia article is actually disturbingly short. Like it was a lot to read, but it was disturbingly short considering like it just should be huge. Like this is like it's like if it happened now, I feel like it just would not. Well, it couldn't happen now. Like you could not get away with rape now. Even if you're like one of the greatest. Well, no, it is. No, I would say I'm for that. Yeah. So, but but like even if you're the greatest player in the world, which is like LeBron James right now.
It turns out the case was dropped.
It was dropped, yeah. But it's one of those things. You know what I mean? Like if it was you or me, it wouldn't get dropped.
But it's like if there's no difference between it getting dropped and it going the other way because he's not serving jail time. So to him, it's all the fucking same. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like it's like the fact that he wasn't convicted almost like in a way for himself probably proves that he's innocent or something, like some weird fucked up logic where he's like, I haven't been punished for this and like I won't be, so like I'm pretty sure I did no wrong. I feel like that's the way that these things kind of go, and it makes you feel really kind of crappy about that because it just seems like if there's no punishment, then like what's to prevent the person from doing it again? Or like I don't know, it's not like a good thing.
No, it's pretty terrible. But that's like he went on to have like sponsorships from huge companies that like typically separate themselves from things like this.
They do nowadays,
But even then, they still did.
I think it goes back to my point. Like, I feel like the spotlight, there wasn't as big of a microscope on all these people in 2003 as there is now, and that we're talking 15 years later. Like, you couldn't get away. Like, even if you were accused of rape nowadays, like your sponsors would drop you quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Have you ever heard of the thing about Rob Lowe? Do you know about what I'm talking about? You know who Rob Lowe is, the actor?
Underage girl?
Yes. So like he had sex with like a 16 or 17-year-old, something along those lines.
Yeah.
And it's like a
long time ago.
And like to the point where like he'll joke about it on Ellen now.
Oh,
yeah.
Which I think is fucked up.
Yeah.
Ooh, I was not aware of that.
Like I liked Rob Lowe until I learned that and was like, and I liked Rob Lowe. I thought he was a funny actor. I like from Parks and Rec, and he's in Austin Powers. Everything I've seen him in, I've enjoyed the stuff. And then I learned that, and I was like, oh, he's kind of gross.
Mm-hmm.
Like beyond gross. That's a bad.
Actually.
Like, I don't know. I don't know.
It's just one of those things too. We were talking about before. Like, there's certain time periods when certain things are more acceptable than others too. But like, it's just in the context of things. There's always something about it. But it always strikes you as weird if you learn about it now. Something that happened in the past too. Like, you can't help but feel the way you do about it. Like, it just is what it is. So there's always gonna be these weird feelings about some of that stuff. But it just goes to show again too that like once again. You're kind of in a way scrubbed clean of past mistakes if you die fucking young, or you like do such awesome, amazing, great stuff before and afterwards that people can just like somehow overlook it. Yeah, just like but like the weight he's done so much more awesome stuff than that. So good. It's like no, he's not still.
There may one day be a statue of Kobe Bryant outside of like the Lakers arena, like, and that's the ultimate.
But like in everybody's like their conscience can be clean because he was never prosecuted with
convicted. Yeah,
I
yeah.
think some sports fans have like a short memory or something, and they just like
Well, everybody does. Like,
gone.
I knew that happened, but I
Yeah.
didn't remember it until you just brought it up again. Like,
Yeah.
'cause I was like, all right, that did happen.
It's crazy how it's been like forgotten. Like I don't know. It sticks in my head because should have never been able to play basketball ever again, or
Well,
you
like,
know what I mean? Like,
but like Michael Vick was fighting the dogs, right? And or
Yes.
having dogs fight each other.
well, making them fight. Yeah, if he's fighting the dogs, it's badass. Yeah.
Yeah. He starts with dogs, moves up to bears. Michael Vick, my God. Yeah, but right. But then, like, who's the comedian that said, like, there's like a time, like, as soon as somebody does something fucked up, there's like a time limit before they become a profit maker again. I think it was, it might have been Bill Burr, but he was saying something along the lines about, it was about when Paula Dean said the N-word or did something racist. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Ooh, that's a good scandal.
Yes, and essentially she's like this, whatever, the Food Network, whatever she worked for. There was like this, like, as soon as she did it, the timer's ticking until, like, well, she's got to stay off, and they've all got to act mad at her. But
it is Bill Burr. Yeah, you're right.
But then she could be making $100 million for the company that she works for. But they've got to like do the dance to like act mad, and they might legitimately be mad, but probably not that mad. They're not $100 million mad.
Yeah.
She's like the wife of the hypothetical pastor voice that we were doing earlier in the show.
I feel like Gail's a little more frazzled than Paula Dean.
You think so?
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Like a Tammy Faye Baker type.
I almost talked about Tammy Faye Baker because
all that makeup.
Her husband was a scandaled pastor.
So I looked up like Kobe Bryant's wife. Like, still looks, still smiling. Like nothing. Like just. Never a rape ever happened.
I'm sure they're divorced.
I don't know.
It's got to be. It's got to be Image.
You sure?
They're divorced. They got divorced 8 years ago, 2011.
Whoa. I'm gonna have to check my sources.
Wait, Bryant and his wife reconciled. What does that mean?
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Oh, so they're not divorced. She filed for divorce, and they reconciled.
She got
so they're still married.
She got revenge by raping him.
Knife, right in the old poop chute.
I'm gonna stab his baloney bags.
She's doing it. She's like, remember the Alamo.
Ow, my buttocks.
You know what you're doing? I realize you're doing Mr. The teacher from South Park.
Yeah.
Is it? You know, it's funny. I'm not a South Park guy.
I didn't know. I didn't notice it.
You literally are now.
Yeah.
I guess I literally am. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
That's
the
crazy.
Mr. Hat or whatever? The teacher guy or whatever? Yeah.
Yes.
Teacher, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have?
I'm
Okay,
not
so
a South Park guy.
it is fascinating that you can just overlook, and the world as a majority can overlook these like heinous acts.
Sure.
Like Bill Clinton cheated on his wife.
Yes.
More than once, admitted to it, and people still
With
think
some
he's a pretty good,
skanks.
and people still think he's a pretty good guy.
Yeah, because of the way he handled his presidency.
Right. Like
Yeah.
he had this other skill set. John Lennon abused his wife and children. His children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great music writer, though. I mean,
Right.
he just knows.
And so people are like, oh, John Lennon, they were going to wear his t-shirt everywhere. And his son's like, yeah, my dad used to beat the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like he's probably not, but he's still, even that, he's still, we talked about his dad. He has, because of the nature of it, he probably has to talk about his dad all the time.
Yeah.
Probably a little bitter. Yeah, I would think so.
Of course.
Like that's often the case is, I don't know. There's the people on the other side. I don't know. It's a fascinating way about how short-term memory society has about a lot of these things.
I think part of it's short-term memory, and part of it is like it's an interesting look into people's how they forgive people, like what needs to be done for them to either forgive or move past something. Because sometimes it's just out of sight, out of mind, right? But sometimes it's also people just have like the ability to kind of forgive people innately when certain conditions are met. And I think time is like one of those things that like obviously things get better over time no matter what. So I think that's what you're talking about earlier too. It's like time is a big factor, and like if you can forgive somebody or not. Like you can't do it right after the fact,
right.
but like a while later you can like kind of quote unquote forgive them. Or if you don't have it, it's not in your mind anymore. Like eventually just it's not hot anymore. So it's just like it must be fine.
Well,
and
how come some people fall prey to they actually lose to the scandal and some people don't?
Money worship.
Well, but like a lot of these people, like politicians, are constantly falling into a scandal and then losing their job, and they've got money. So what's happening there?
I don't know the rhyme or reason always. It feels though that like the more
there's
confident you are and the more just like you battle it, and the more that you deny it, people like respect the confidence and
Yes.
the
Like,
battling.
I think that's how
That's-
Trump gets through all his crazy shit.
Exactly. It's just
He
like,
just
that's
pretends it's not a real
literally-
issue, and then eventually people move on to something else.
He
Because
pretends and he owns it, and he just is like, I've never heard of that shit. Yeah, you know what I mean?
But
because
what
people
he does,
mirror that stuff.
but
like,
people,
if you,
but
if
but
you
he-
see people,
but that's like all he's really doing is affecting public perception. So there isn't an outcry to get him out on some behalf. But I mean, the way but that guy in particular, the things he talks about and the choices he makes, like the vast majority of people don't like him.
Yes.
And like some things you can't, like the Mueller investigation. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Man, close
like
enough.
Crueler.
yeah.
That's how I remember. I saw I think Conan O'Brien had a song that was basically that, because I would call it Mueller. But yeah, that one is like not getting swayed by the stupid shit that Trump says. Like they're just doing investigation. So it's not gonna. I don't know. It's
I mean,
not
it
going to
depends
affect
if you're
it.
following all the law, because if they have to go by process and procedure, right? Which is great, which is what you just, it's not
what
an
you want.
emotional thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, but yeah, people I think there's a conflict between, especially with celebrity, between like what they say, and because at the same time, people look up to celebrities, so you kind of respect them as an authority figure.
Well, it's like
So
Colin Kaepernick. His thing is he was a completely capable quarterback, good one even, and he did that thing, and I think was he on the injured list when he did that?
I
Or was
believe
his contract
so, yeah.
up or something? But then there was a team that was like literally looking for a quarterback. He's available, and they didn't want him because of the scandal that followed it.
It's funny. It's funny you say that. I just saw a news story. The last story we heard about him was him being in the Nike commercial, but I just saw like a new small headline today on like one of the ESPN things or something. They're talking about how a particular team is not doing so well right now, or worse than they should be doing. And they brought in like their backup quarterback, and the headline of the story is the quarterback controversy for this team is the reason why Colin Kaepernick should still have a damn job. Like,
Sorry.
yeah,
it's
but that's the guy who discovered that the Earth goes around the sun. I think.
The thing is, I read it. I never hear it said. I just read it all the time.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it just depends.
can
It just
read,
depends on like
totally
if the
read.
organization or the person that's willing to is willing to forgive them or not, and the stance that particular the people at the top of that organization or those people in general take on that person. I mean, it's biased. It's all just situationally biased. So if the public doesn't outcry against stuff like that too, they're not going to change their mind, right? Most people, if you're not abiding by the moral code, there's a lot of people out there that are doing stuff in response to the public's reaction. So they're just trying to gauge
Public
that and do as
outcry is
little
the
as
thing, right?
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is all about scandal, right? Which is like all what it's about is like managing scandal, which is kind of like where those PR people that deal with scandal are like, they're like impressive, but also
They're spinning
sleazy.
it.
And I also
Oh my
hate
god,
it.
yes,
Yeah.
they're bad.
Super sleazy. Yeah.
But they have like a knowledge of people reactions that is like uncanny.
Right.
So yeah, it's interesting. It's oftentimes unfortunate, as we've seen here. But
somebody mentioned earlier, I just wanted to make this point, is like a con man. The con in con man is confidence.
Confidence. Yeah.
So that's like Trump is a con man. He just talks with I mean, fuck, I do that in my regular life. Like, there's plenty of stuff I don't know,
too.
but I just talk like I know what I'm talking about because I know I can learn it. If there's stuff I'm talking about something at work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's how most people successfully operate. Like, no one's an expert when they say they are. They say they are, and then they become the expert.
And
That's what I think.
it's important. Confidence is really important, but it can also go too far, right? Like, I mean,
Of course, right. Then you're getting $65 million for a jet to spread the word of Imagine.
It's like, well, you're not being confident anymore. You're just being a fucking asshole, right?
Yeah. This episode we got like very psychological evaluation type, like really analyzed some stuff here. It's good.
Kobe Bryant analyzed.
Nope.
Okay.
God
Fair
damn
enough.
it, John.
All right,
Adam.
So... Yeah, you can take that one away.
No.
He said no like immediately. No.
No, leave it in.
I saw the joke coming. I was just putting my hand out in slow motion.
No. Yeah.
No.
So looking back, John, what did you think? Do you have more stuff? I don't want to cut your thing off. Was it mostly just being like, what the fuck Wiseness talked about?
No, it's kind of weird because like this guy, him and I are like obsessive NBA fans, so it's the one thing we talk about a lot, Yeah, and so we were just like we just as a joke always like, hey, never forget, man. It's like it's crazy how people have like just completely forgotten that Kobe Bryant raped someone.
Well, like,
people still talk about him to this day, even after he's retired.
But there's like plausible deniability about did he? I think that's kind of they've got a very easy out in that situation. It's not like he was convicted.
I'm part of the where there's smoke, there's fire camp type of a thing. Actually,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
I understand.
Like I've never been accused of rape because I've never even tried to rape somebody. You know what I mean? So it just doesn't.
You've never had anything
that's come up for
it.
me.
Right?
Not anything close to it. So yeah,
it's
true.
There's a joke there somewhere. I don't know.
Come close to it. Is that the joke?
No, I don't know. Like the joke about like how somebody's not getting laid. I don't know. Some kind of joke there. I don't know.
Well, let's not reach for it.
I thought you would have said something there.
Let's not. Let's just like the rest of this. Let's not force it.
Gail, what is a vagina?
A vagina is. Damn it, Alexa.
John, I've defined this for you many times. Would you also like to know the definition of clitoris?
On that note, do we have scandals? Adam, how do you feel like from what you thought we were going to talk about versus what we talked about? Anything that really stood out for you as thoughts?
I think it was all really interesting. Actually, I was concerned going into this a little bit that initially I was thinking it was going to be like pretty funny content wise because people that do some scandals classically, not the current ones, but a lot of other ones in the past, some of them have been weird and wacky. And I was hoping to find some more
comical.
of those. Yeah, because they can be dark, like as we discovered. Some of them are just people do bad things and then it comes out and people lose their shit. So I was hoping it wasn't going to, I mean, obviously there's some dark stuff in here, obviously, and we don't condone any of those actions. But I will say that there was a lot of humor that could be found in situations like this, which I do appreciate that we could able to like dance around that a little bit. So I thought that was really pretty cool. And I thought we learned some pretty good information about certain pastors and Kobe Bryant people, the actual people. Like, once again, the stuff that's most interesting to me is concerned with people's stories and characters. So digging into some more of those too and kind of dissecting the people involved there a little bit more to get to know them is kind of the reason that I think we do this to a good degree, and I really like that research portion of it. So yeah,
I like that too. John, kind of what are your based on what you thought we were going to talk about and then what we did, how do you feel like it went?
Well, I'll sort of step outward from it. The whole thing, the whole point that I kept making maybe too many times was that there's so much of a big microscope on everybody's lives nowadays. So scandals may be either they're going to be happening more frequently. So the trend, well, they'll be happening more frequently because we'll be hearing about them more because there's more people looking into them. So eventually we'll have to start questioning what is scandal at this point. You know what I mean? Like, is this really like it leads to like a bigger discussion about like morals and stuff like that. And,
are we getting there now? Like, doesn't it feel like you're hearing about a new scandal every single day?
I think we're in the transition period now where it's like, well, especially in the age of our president, right?
Yeah.
There's something new all the time. So it's like, well, you know, it's a lot of people I think are kind of numb to it at this point. Numb to like hearing a new scandal or a new this or a new that, and I don't know if that's good or bad.
I think it's bad.
I haven't figured that out yet. Yeah, it seems bad because you don't want to be numb to it. You want to feel it and say, well, this is wrong. He shouldn't be doing this. But at the same time,
it's like boiling a frog, right?
Yeah. It slowly does it, and by the time it's actually a boiling. Yeah, I know. I hear you. It's dead, so it doesn't feel the water getting hotter and hotter type of thing.
Yes.
But like at the same time, like there's a whole system that put this scandal maker into office, right? So you know what I mean? So
yeah.
Blaming the system is a little too easy, but at the same time, system is there. So it kind of becomes a question of, you know, well, he's sort of he's sort of a cathartic thing right now. I hate to say that because I've never seen more people want to get like just as an example for scandal makers, Trump, right? He's getting more people to actually be interested in politics and want to go out and vote. So, you know, because he makes so much noise, doesn't matter which side he's on, he's making so much noise and creating so much controversy that people are like, well, this guy's ridiculous. Of course I got to get out there and vote. And now there might be like a whole new generation of people that will be very invested in the voting process.
Politically engaged, right? Which is good.
Like never before. So if there's one good thing that comes out of that scandal, it's that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's a weird transition and there's good and bad that comes out of it. But yeah, that's where I am. I sort of take a very holistic view of the whole thing. So
I was really hoping to have like a just salacious details on a bunch of like fun, lighthearted things. But then of course I had the thing it was a whole spectrum, which I actually love. That's one of my favorite things about recording this podcast with you guys is that I like never know what to expect. Like, I think the format we've chosen here is very, very fun because I'm like, I love, it's almost like I get to listen to 2 other podcasts while recording this podcast. And then
It's
like
true.
talk with you guys about it. It's very cool. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I enjoy it a lot too.
And I mean, but then I thought I was going to have all these lighthearted, fun things. And then like, okay, well, this guy bought a $65 million jet and this guy killed 10 people with sarin gas. Shit.
Oh no.
But then we got Ted's voice and Pop Off and Tony Baloney or whatever. So
Yeah, we got
Gail.
the old PP and BB.
Can you imagine like a party in a hotel? Kobe Bryant, Tony Alimony, Baloney Sacks, and fucking like PP, and like just this.
It's baloney bag.
Baloney bag.
Oh, baloney
Tony
sacks.
Baloney Bags Alimony.
He's like,
yeah.
my fucking name is Tony Alamo, not baloney sacks. You stupid son of a bitch. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pop off at the mouth.
Did someone say pop off at the mouth?
Gail, get in here. God
Gail,
damn it.
just take the kids and leave. I don't deserve a family anymore. I just want to surround myself with men, and that is all.
I'm gonna have to look up a... Jesus Christ. All right, so I think we're going to close on that note. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Research and Destroy Podcast. You can find us on the web at researchanddestroypodcast.com. If you want to email us, you can email us show@researchanddestroypodcast.com. And you can get all of our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Stitcher. And if you like this episode, please go to any of those places and give us 5 stars. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
It's your story now. You decide what is right.